every drop of our blood to get Gambia to where it deserves to be. And where does Gambia deserves to be? Gambia is a very beautiful small country, in fact the smallest inland in this region. And therefore, it has the opportunity of geolocational position, very advantageous. We have been blessed by the air, the sea, and the land. These three fundamental blessings of resources we need to explore to the maximum. And when I say one of the ways to give thanks to the Creator is by being co-creative of the resources that you are blessed with. We were told that we were created after all the needs or necessities were created before we had life. The need for living has been already in place. So we are assigned to come and do a job. Our employer has already provided everything we need to do the job properly. We shouldn't shy away from the fact that if we don't, it is our responsibility. If we do, it is our responsibility. And therefore, we have seen from 1965 to date that the best way Gambia could move forward has been given in terms of their political understanding, because we're not here to blame anyone, by the way. Everyone has been doing the best they know how. But the best they know how isn't the best that we need to know how, because we have seen that it hasn't taken the Gambia any further than it had always been. Let's share the resources. We are a cartel, we know each other, and therefore I'll give you the opportunity, and if that goes, someone else comes in, I will come next to that person, try and understand or get close so that I can get part of the resources. So if you don't know someone, you're not part of it. And that we need to transmute, delete that from our existence, because you are the most powerful being that the divine has created in terms of a being that will transform this planet. And we are told that we are here to learn. What is the purpose of learning? The purpose of learning is to know. When you know, you create. You create because there is wisdom. Now, Gambia has been blocked. Gambia has been programmed by our so-called politicians for too long to believe that you can only be meaningful if you have a fair share of those who are ruling, those who are in power. And to that I say, you are the most powerful person who puts that servant who claim to be the boss. It's the reverse. So I am here again to twinkle your soul, to remind you of your greatness, to remind you of who you really are, to remind you that politics is not what it had been portrayed to be. We are all political beings. Politics is not about manipulation. Politics is not about maneuvering. Politics is about being sincere, being authentic, and doing the best you can to be of service. Politics is not a place to be rich. Politics is not a place to get opportunities. This is what have been sent and sold to us for a long, long time. And I believe this is one of the reasons why us, the young people, haven't been participating in politics for a long time, or even up till now. And we have the mantle, we have the power. Over 60 plus of the population are deemed to be young people. Now, statistically, 41% of that population are unemployed. And the saddest part of that is also the same population has the notion that we have the possibility not just to be employed, but to be economically participant or participating in the economic transformation of the country through many, many ways. So if the environment isn't given, if the environment isn't nurtured enough for the participation of the young people to engage themselves in the economic transformation process, but used as a tool when there is politics, and women be used as a so-called agenda to gain popularity and to gain votes, we have been insulted, but we also insulted ourselves. So I'm challenging every young person to know and to think, ponder, and reflect on your greatness. Why am I mentioning greatness? Because you have been blessed with a soul. There are many animals that we know about. Most of what we focus on is to go out there, get a good job. That's what we are told. Get a good education, get yourself a good job, and then feed your family. Animals do the same thing. The cow, the sheep, they all do the same thing. What makes us different? What makes us exemplary? What makes us special is the ability to co-create, because the divine lives within us, however you believe it to be. And if you challenge yourself today, you look at yourselves, beautiful souls, beautiful people standing here. If you look from tip to toe, I question you, what part of your belongings right now have you created? What part of it? The shoes, the socks, the trousers, whatever it is that you are using right now, what part of it have you created? Now the other question is the person who created such or made such better than you, greater than you, or have more value than you? The question is no. I then challenge you to say, we need to shift the way we look at things, because there is a very powerful proverb that stuck a chord with me that says that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now this is very powerful because we are controlled by information. You guys are at the forefront of information, and we know that today we are only seeing the things that we are seeing based on the word. And where I'm driving you to, this is something that probably has not been shared politically, and it tells you that we are not necessarily the so-called class politicians who are looking for positions or money or whatever it is. We have been challenged by our own covenant. When we were born in the Gambia, we have a role to play in the Gambia. And that role, we know for a long time that it is not just to go and feed our own family or shelter our own families and that's it. Our family is Gambia. And Gambia is only safe when the Gambians wake up and know that today this is the opportunity I have been waiting for, but this is the opportunity I have created for myself. Why? Because I can. Why? Because the environment is conducive enough. Why? Because the people that I put there and paying them are doing the job I asked them to do. And this is why we know that the party system that has been existing all along cannot and will not solve that problem. Now my heart bleeds. Why? Because the young people are engaged in drugs so heavily that the future is looking so dark. Brothers and sisters, let's reflect. No country has ever developed without the vibrance of its energy. The core of its energy is the young people. If we sit here and start claiming, setting up things like political bureaus all over the country, and forgetting the fact that there is a young 20, 13 or 15-year-old Gambian who is drug addicted because they had no direction, because the environment has ignored, the environment has forgotten their value. This is something we have to reflect on. It saddens me to see my young mothers out on the streets prostituting because they believe that's the only way out. It bleeds my heart to know that we have a ministry of youth, we have a ministry responsible for employment, we have ministry responsible for health, we even have within a ministry a special department assigned to deal with drugs, and yet all of them fail them. Are we not reflective of the young woman who went to have a bath or give birth to a child and eventually lost their lives because there wasn't enough drugs to help them, because they overbled? because there wasn't enough equipment or even accessories, medical accessories, simple things like bandages and pads led to the loss of life of women who needed not to, or the child who has a lot of importance to come and contribute to the development, to the growth of the Gambia. You, the minister, you, the department head, you, the head of finance, the guy who made the budget, only because you have a portion of that budget to be able to build a story building next to someone who is probably a businessman who has nothing to do with government, but you are even richer than that guy because you ignore you ignore the situation, the challenges that are faced by the young chap who's just been sent away to go home because they haven't got enough money to pay school fees, which has just happened today. Witnessed it right here, right now. That chap has been denied the opportunity to sit to an exams. That young girl is being denied the opportunity to actually even reflect on what they have been studying on because the parent is challenged to make a fee payment. How much do you care, you the teacher, you the education department, you the headmaster, you the person who makes the budget and take care of those projects, each of which you have a percentage that you take home? How much do you reflect? Does your heart not have the space, the opportunity to think and give that little bit of fear of yourself to know that what you're doing is absolutely the wrong thing? How much are you reflecting on that? And this I address the entire government who are supposedly in charge of our affairs. I then challenge again the lack of reflection of the child or the young man or woman who is currently living in a condition where to even study is a challenge. And if it rains, they have to park up because there is leakage above or there is leakage coming through the roof. That child who will probably struggle to fetch water and walk for a long distance in order just to have water to drink in the house. These are fundamental basic human rights that we were born with and must be available in abundance, for it is not a challenge. It is not anything outside of simplicity, honesty, and authenticity by being who we claim to be. Again, this person who has been challenged by all of this is the one sitting here talking to you. I have gone through the process of exactly what I have just explained. I felt it. I know how it felt. I walked for 3 to 5 kilometers every day to fetch water to bring to my house in order for my mom to have water to cook food and bath the children with. I have gone through the process of needing to study for my exams, all levels for that matter, and had to stop because there was leakage, because I have to shift my bed, because I was living in conditions that were not conducive for my need. And I was one of thousands of young people who are still in existence. And this hasn't still changed. This is sad to know that after claiming to be independent for all this while and having all the resources that we are going to talk about, we are still having children living under these conditions. Gambia deserves to be a country of respect because we are creating our own survival. Gambia deserves to be the country that is a good example to every other country in the world because we are blessed with the size, but geopolitically, we are also in the best place to be. We have been blessed with a geographical location or positioning that we can harness and use to explore, to transform the Gambia. Now, if you think I'm talking philosophically think again. We have specific projects that has been designed to alleviate all of these challenges and have been worked on for years and years, and it's not something we talk about, it's something we went physically. Because we are technocrats, we do not have political background. Our background is management, project development, financing, organizational development, community development, accounting. We know exactly what is required to transform this country. Every single part of the country has been researched on. We have the data. We have the fundamental projects that will transform each region in the Gambia by the Gambians and for the Gambia. And to that, we have no reason not to engage directly with the people who really matter, the people who deserve and desire this transformation, these changes. We have no reason to sit down. For if we do, we are part of the problem. If we do, we cannot claim being thankful to Allah. If we do, we cannot look at each other in the eye and say, I've done my best. Therefore, I call upon each and every one of the Gambian and the Gambians' alliances, that is anyone who feels Gambia, to bring home this notion that we can change the country. We can change the narrative. We can have a new trajectory of a beautiful Gambia. We can also provide every single aspect of our living based on the resources that we are blessed with. We are blessed with a lot of resources. We have zircon, we have diamond, we have gold, we have oil, we have silicon, and we have many, many more. Now, a lot of things are being mined in the Gambia, and a lot of things have been hidden and extracted from the soil of this country. A lot of people are enriching themselves right now as we speak from the resources that would have been used otherwise to transform the Gambia socio-economic landscape. And it is an inevitable act that every single person partake in this endeavor. We cannot shy away from the fact that the challenge is high. It is a big challenge, but the bigger the challenge, the sweeter the victory. And we must be prepared for that victory. The victory is for Gambia to know now that whoever sits there is not talking out of negotiation. We are not interested in a transactional government anymore. We do not want dealers to run this country. We do not want people to permeate and penetrate our economic system through the means of knowing whoever is in charge of whatever. The Gambia has a law. The Gambia has a fundamental book called the Constitution. The Constitution has provided us with the best guidance possible in order to be straightforward, in order to be honest, in order to capture, but also to do the job as per the agreed laws and regulations by the people, and that is the Constitution. Anything that we create outside, anything that we do outside that Constitution only contributes to the so-called corruption that we already know has been sinking Africa for a long time. But also, I want to remind you that we have been labeled, African leadership, have been labeled by many, many labels. As a Pan-African, we know that the weakness isn't because the Gambian or the leader of the African nation don't love their country as much, because they know not much of how to deviate and to resist with resilience of the pressures that are out there for the people or the systems that have interest